All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to 20-Minute Guitar Player. My name is Rob Reed, and this is our weekly guitar lesson. Thanks for joining me. I got a great lesson for you tonight, and it's all about the proper care of your guitar and how humidity is a guitar killer. And we're going to unpack that and get into this. Thanks for joining. Grab a coffee or tea and grab your guitar, and let's check things out. I'm going to be the guitar doctor tonight, and we're going to investigate your guitar to see if it's in trouble, if your guitar needs resuscitation, and we're going to give you the solution on what you need to fix things and prolong the life of your instrument and continue making lots of great music for years to come. Because these guitars are not cheap these days, and we want to protect them. All right, so let's jump right into it. We got lots of slides to show you here. So, first slide here. I just want to say that humidity matters. When I first started playing guitar, I just took my guitar out of the case, played it, and put it back in the case all year round. Winter time, summertime, didn't bother me. We're in an eastern part of the world here, near the ocean, and our summers can be very humid, and our winters can be really dry. Especially inside because it gets cold, so we have our like stoves on, and people have fireplaces going and wood burning and lots of heat pumps going, so the air can get really dry. So this can be a really bad situation for our guitars. Oh, hi Ray. Hi Raina. My daughter's watching. Thanks for joining. Feel free to ask any questions you have in the chat. And thanks for hanging out. I see you, Raina. Okay, so humidity matters. You're going to probably hear my son talking in the background, but we'll just try to ignore that. So humidity matters. This is what a guitar would look like if it was not properly taken care of. And hopefully this hasn't happened to any of you guys yet. It's a reality that's out there. And you might be wondering how this happens. Well, just like I said, lots of dry air or lots of humidity. Okay, so your guitar might be in trouble if you notice a few things. Like you might be playing your guitar, and in the wintertime, you might notice you start to get some fret buzzing. You might take your hand along, run your hand along the neck and feel the frets kind of poking out. And you might notice some bulging on the instrument. So these are things that are signs of showing that your guitar is either too dry or too wet. Okay, so these instruments are made out of wood, and wood is kind of a live substance, and it retains water. And when these instruments are built, they're built in relatively neutral humidity environments. So you want to keep them so they have a bit of water in them when you buy them from the store. And you want to keep them at a proper level of humidity so that they'll function well. Okay, we're going to get into all this. So your guitar might be in trouble if you start noticing a fret buzz. Okay. So just let me back up. So your guitar, okay, so if the guitar is too dry, if you're in a climate, okay, so for example, in the wintertime, the air is really dry, and because you have heaters on, and that's drying out the air in your house or your apartment, that's also drying out your instrument. Okay, so the natural bit of water that's in the wood is being taken out of the instrument due to that heat, dry air and stuff. So if that happens, you might get what's called a back bow in the neck. So if the guitar starts to dry out due to your heaters being on, the neck can start to bow backwards, and that's where you're going to notice some fret buzzing, and the strings are going to go lower to the frets, and it's going to start buzzing. Okay, So you don't want to start adjusting your neck and doing neck like truss rod adjustments, because it's not that. That's not the main problem. Well, maybe in this case for a neck bow, but not in all situations. So when the weather changes and the humidity changes, you don't want to start getting in there with the truss rod too quickly until you solve these issues. Okay, so if your guitar is too dry, you'll get a back bow, and the neck will dry up and start tilting back, and you'll get fret buzz with the strings. Okay, so watch out for that one. The second thing you watch out for is your what's called fret sprout. So if your guitar is too dry and it needs watering, you can run your hands along the edge of the neck like this, and you're gonna feel bumps on the frets, and that's what's called fret sprout. That's because the water is coming out of the fretboard, and it's shrinking. Basically, the fretboard's shrinking, and the frets are sticking out, and that's why you can feel them. Okay, so that means your guitar needs to be humidified or watered. Okay, next thing, you're gonna notice seam splits if your guitar is too dry. You'll get these splits in the seams where the wood connects, and of course, this guitar is from Arizona, and it comes from a really dry climate, and of course, it was dried out, and I do have a seam split in my guitar right here, right along from the bridge all the way down. Okay, so you can see that if I zoom in. So that's kind of irreversible at this point, unless I take it to a shop. But it starts to separate more. The drier the guitar gets, the seam will widen. So I have to really be careful with this guitar and keep it humidified so that seam will not widen. Okay. Hi, Raina. I see you. Okay. And then another thing, if your guitar is too dry, the top will start to cave in. Your soundboard will cave in, and your bridge will cave in with it. And then you can see in this picture, you just get this caving in, and the neck it'll just mess the neck up because it'll probably pull the bridge forward, and then you'll get the strings going closer to the frets and getting more fret buzz. So you don't want that progress. You want to stop all this stuff before it gets too extreme. Okay. So this is all stuff that if it's too dry where your guitar is, and when I say dry, I mean like less than 40% relative humidity. Okay, so 30% humidity, 20%, that's really dry. Okay. Okay, so if your guitar is too wet, you can also be in a really humid environment where there's too much moisture in the air, and that moisture is getting sucked up into your guitar. So it can be too humid, and that can be a real problem. So your guitar can get too wet. Okay. So if your guitar is too wet, this top piece of wood will start to bulge. You'll notice it too, because I've seen it. My guitar, like this will bulge up, the back will bulge out, start bulging out. It's kind of weird. Just starts to get bloated. And these seams as well, the seams will start to split because the guitar is starting to kind of bulge out. So you get seam splits. So watch out for those nasty seam splits there. You'll get, instead of like sprouting frets, you'll get like fret shrink or nut shrink. So that means the wood on the neck will expand, and because your frets are metal, they're going to stay where they are, and they'll start to shrink into the guitar. They'll look smaller because the neck and everything is expanding. So their frets are shrinking only because the wood is expanding due to moisture. Okay, so that's watch out for that one. Too much moisture in the air, specifically like in the summer times, like around where I am in eastern Canada, the summers get really humid. They get extremely humid, and the guitar, I noticed, soaks up moisture. When a guitar is too wet too, it sounds really dull, like just doesn't ring. It just has this dull, flat sound, which is because of too much heavy water and it can't resonate or vibrate. So it's kind of interesting. I never thought about this stuff before until I bought some more expensive guitars and started worrying about everything. So you want to be doing this stuff. You want to be taking note and taking care of your guitars, especially if you have expensive, more exotic woods and expensive woods. Okay. So another thing, if your guitar is too wet, has too much humidity in the air, it's soaking up, you're going to get what's called swelling. You're going to get swelling below the bridge. So just below the bridge, it's going to swell, and you're going to be able to see kind of dips, like a swelling bulge right around the bridge there. And that's a big problem too. Okay. So watch out for that swelling below the bridge. Okay. So the solution to all these problems, from dry environment to wet, humid environments, is you want to store your instruments and control the humidity or the environment that the guitar is in. So you want to have the guitar in a 40 to 50% humidity, like humidity, stored at 40 to 50% humidity. Okay, so you want to be able to control the humidity in the room where the guitar is being stored. And you want it to be at 40% to 50%. Sorry, my son is talking really loud and it's hard. I hope it's not picking up on the thing. Okay, so in order to get your room to a 40% or 50% humidity, there's a few things you can do, okay? So first thing, you want to store your guitar, you want to keep it in its case, okay? So I know that's not ideal for getting at your guitar and playing the instrument, because you want to have your guitar out on the stand so you can just grab it and pick it up and play it. So but it's ideal to keep it in the case, and that protects it from changes in the environment and the humidity. So keep it in the case, store it in the case. And next thing you can do is get a hydrometer. And that's a little tool device that you can get, and that reads the humidity in the room where your guitars are. This is super helpful because it's going to tell you what the humidity is in the room. So if it's 40 to 50%, you're in that area, you're good. Your guitars are safe. Nothing crazy is going to happen to them. They're going to be at the optimal humidity range there, and they're going to be healthy. Okay. If it drops below, then it's dry, and it goes above 50, it's going to be too damp, too wet. So get that one of these things, and this is a cool little device that'll just measure the relative humidity in the room that your guitars are in. Okay, and you can also get these things that are called guitar humidifiers, and I had this one for a long time. It's like a little piece of plastic that sits in between your strings, and there's a piece of plastic, or there's a piece of sponge in the device there, and you just wet the sponge and then put it in the guitar, and then over time the water like slowly releases, and it keeps your guitar humidified and at a good range. So that's really great to have. The only thing is with that is I find you're constantly like checking it and constantly having to put water in it and stuff. So my solution is I have a humidifier that I keep, and I usually put my guitars in a room with the humidifier, so it's slowly giving off water over the whole day, and it keeps the room at that great temperature, that great humidity level. And then in the summer or in the wintertime, and then in the summertime, you can get a dehumidifier, and then that'll take the moisture out of the air and give you the optimal relative humidity range with that. Okay, so hopefully that's helpful, and hopefully you can hear me without other people yelling in the background. I put a chart together here to show you all the different ranges and what happens at each range. Okay, so 40 to 50 is our safe range, and that's all good there. And then it's the green area, and then as you go up, it gets more humid, up to 100% humidity, and you can read there what happens at each stage, okay? So it tells you what will happen to your guitar. And then as you go down, the drier the guitar gets, you can read what will happen there. So bridge will completely loosen from the top and cracks, and soundboard and back will start to collapse. I haven't seen that yet, so we're lucky. Okay, so I just wanted to do a little lesson on this tonight because it's really important, and it's something that we often don't think about. And you need to take care of your guitar, especially if they're more expensive, and the wood is really sensitive to changes in the weather. A lot of people don't really think about that, but it does affect your instrument. And like, I'm already feeling some fret sprout, and I have a crack down here. A lot of my friends have cracked guitars, so just make sure you're keeping them humidified, and get a hydrometer to measure the relative humidity in the room. Get a humidifier in the wintertime. Basically, all I have to know is humidifier in the wintertime and a dehumidifier. Humidifier in the wintertime and a dehumidifier in the summertime to keep that level at 40 to 50%, and your guitars will be safe. And if not, I was tempting fate this year because I did not humidify them this winter. And in the back of my mind, I was always a bit nervous, thinking about, oh no, I hope they're okay. All right, so hope you found this helpful. If you have any questions, we can go to the chat, and we can you can ask me any kind of questions you have about this. And really interesting topic. I encourage you to just go to Walmart, buy a humidifier, fill it up, let it run all night and all day. Measure the humidity in the room in the wintertime, because you get the heaters pumping and it's drying out the air. Okay? In the summertime, get a dehumidifier, because the air is so moist, it's going to soak up into your guitars and they're not going to function properly, and it can wreck them. Okay? Mainly acoustic guitars and hollow body electric guitars, this can happen to. Solid body electrics are not as big of a problem because they're solid wood, but you still want to make sure they're protected anyway, just to be safe, on the safe side. Okay, so all right, guys, if you don't have any questions, thank you for joining, and hope you have a great week. Happy practicing. Remember, practice 20 minutes a day and you'll be off to the races. All right, okay, thanks for joining, guys. See you next week. Have a great weekend.